right. We are so excited to be back live with the HDI Local Chapters live stream. Before we get started, as always, we want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, Robert Half. You need to go check out Robert Half. If you are looking for open roles, if you are hiring for open roles, this is an amazing talent repository. They will share not only talent, but also really good information around how to retain your talent, how to stand out during onboarding. So it's not just, people, meeting people. It is a great learning base. So I have the link up here posted. Please go check them out. We really appreciate their support. And we are so excited to officially be back online with our live stream. And again, we couldn't do it without Robert Half. So thank you so much to them. And with that, I am going to make a great introduction, and I'm actually not going to give her bio because that'll spoil all the fun of this whole interview. But Sharon, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you. This is Women's History Month, so we officially get to kick off the first day with an awesome conversation around your background and how you got to where you are. So if you were listening to the pre-stream, you heard a little bit of interesting tidbits, but tell us who you are and a little bit about your career.
Hi, Maddie, and thank you so much for having me. I'm Sharon Rose Miller, and as I had said earlier, this is starting into my 44th year in information technology formally, and I currently am working for a university in Pittsburgh and am in a phenomenal group and role as a business and communications manager for Health Sciences IT. So it is a wonderful, wonderful career ender. And I'm going to say that because I am looking at maybe 2.5 more years.
Oh, you were at the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's hopefully the exit, not the train.
Yes. But, I look back constantly and say how I'm very lucky, very fortunate. How in the world did I get here from somebody who started out wanting to be an English teacher to somebody who ended up at the summit of a career in information technology, which is it's my passion. Obviously, it's exciting. There are days, believe me, where I say,
aren't there always?
This career, what was I thinking?
Yep.
And I don't think, even with the road that I took, I don't feel any remorse or regret giving up teaching, going for something that I knew just the fringes about, and just questing after that knowledge, constantly going. And then battling the glass ceiling, the traditional, I hate using that phrase, old boys network, because that was overused so much. And it really wasn't an old boys network. It didn't matter if there were male or female at the top of the food chain. They still looked at an IT person as traditionally a male figure rather than a female. And so it was very hard to convince them that I had the chops for something.
Right.
That I could accomplish things or do good without, bursting into tears, maybe. Yeah. They had that perception that as the weaker sex, we couldn't handle the kind of pressure. And I think at one point in my career, I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, I have a Fortune 500 company squarely on my shoulders right now, and all of their inner operations. And you know what? It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's insane. And I think too, on top of that, not only holding that company on your shoulders, but having people who are, whether they're second guessing or not being supportive. And I've heard stories of sabotaging, it is such an uphill battle.
I don't think, and you know, this is also very fortunate. I don't think I was ever like sabotaged on purpose. I think I was dismissed quite a bit.
Huge, yeah.
And there are tactics that you can use throughout your career where the tenacity that you have, that you can stick with this, even if you have to twist things a little bit and get yourself to the point where you turn them on your side. You do something, but it's a proving ground. You're proving.
Right.
Always proving that you are capable of doing things. And that's honestly, I believe, human nature sometimes.
Absolutely.
They look at you, they look at this short little girl, you know, who's young, coming in there, and I must have torn apart and built 100 servers. But their server, they're a little scared, I'm going to touch it, you know.
Right.
And so, excuse me, it was always a proving ground, and I knew that going into a job.
Right.
When I would go into a job, I knew that the first month, the first couple weeks, everything about it was going to be me showing that I did know what I was doing. Everybody can look good on paper.
Right.
Everybody. You can make yourself look like a star. But when you get your feet into those trenches, you better be able to produce it. And that was a philosophy. I mean, I was motivated my whole life by my parents. And
I love the story about your parents.
My dad was a metallurgist at a steel corporation. And he was a rough and tumble guy, you know, Irish, just rough. And he had the best advice. I mean, I would go to him for every piece of advice with career.
Amazing.
And he was a mechanical man. There was nothing, you know, IT about him.
Yep.
He had a transistor radio. That was his buddy, you know. But it was his advice. When you get into a job, you look at your next one.
Right.
Where are you going from that job?
Yep.
You're not settling in. And as it turned out, I ended up 15 years in one job, 9.5 in another.
That's
I mean,
incredible.
I wasn't a mover, you know, but that kind of thing. The second thing is you go in, and they both gave me killer confidence. I mean, killer confidence.
Yeah, because your mom worked at the telephone company, right? Is that?
She did. She was, she ended up, her job was, she read the blueprints for the linemen.
That's right.
And guided them towards any trouble spots in the telephone lines.
Yep.
And she was always pushing those boundaries. She started out with toll tickets. They had her sorting toll tickets and filing them. And when they discovered her proficiency in anything they gave her, they kept bumping her up. And finally she ended up, you know, actually mapping things on blueprints, you know, sending the guys here and there.
Yeah.
She, and my mom was a rebel. She was an activist.
Oh, I love that.
In her own right. She single-handedly organized the entire neighborhood and laid in the middle of the road and blocked dump trucks to keep a landfill out of their neighborhood.
That's incredible.
I mean, with my baby brother in a stroller, and did this. This was her thing.
Yeah.
You know, she and my dad combined were the ingredients for me to have that killer confidence to walk in. And even if I wasn't 100% sure, and there was a lot of times I wasn't, can you run a network? Yep. And I would do it. And what it is you've got to try everything. You have to.
Yeah.
The day that you stop trying is the day that you want to wake up and drive your car into a wall because you don't want to go to work.
Right.
You know, the day that you get up and you're like, okay, I got a hard job ahead of me, but I'm going, you know, I'm going for it. So the killer confidence is what propels you forward. But there is the put up and shut up time. When I walk in and say I can do something, I better darn well be able to do it. So, yeah, that, I mean, career-wise, I hit those roadblocks all the way, though, with the, my favorite story was the honey, you're in the wrong room
I love
story.
this story. Will you tell the story?
Yes. So I was deciding to branch into a different area, TCP/IP networking, because it was up and coming and brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And mainframes were starting to go away. So I said, well, I'm going to take some classes. So I went to the local community college, found all the classes on TCP/IP networking, and signed up for them.
Right.
And little did I know, but I was the only female that was signed up for any of those courses. And so I marched right into the class, the one day, and I plopped myself in the front row. The instructor comes in and he looks down at me and he says, honey, I think you're in the wrong room. And I said, oh, is this TCP/IP networking? And he goes, well, WordStar is down the hall.
Oof.
And I said, yes, but I'm here for TCP/IP networking. And he said, oh, yes, that's this class. And then proceeded to teach this class and never looked at me again through the whole class.
That is,
but yes,
I think, such a good lesson. If you, like, we have a few minutes left here, and I think what's really important is to talk to not just women, right? Like, as sort of landscapes are changing and you're trying to learn new things, and whether, for whatever reason, we all have our versions of imposter syndrome, and we're all trying to learn and take on new things. What is it that kept you that confident and that motivated to keep, because it gets, when you get kind of turned down or looked at funny or not looked at all so many times, you kind of go, why am I even do? What's the point? So what was your why? Why did you keep going?
Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons, but the root of it is Irish stubbornness.
Love it.
The root of it is looking and seeing examples in front of me, like my mom and dad, that said, no, I'm not giving up.
Amazing.
And no, I'm not going to back down. And that kept me going. Plus, people want material things in life. I could see this career path being lucrative.
It's huge.
Sure, I'm passionate about it, but I'm not stupid. I want to make the money.
Totally, right? We all go to work. It's called work for a reason.
Right. So this retirement goal is, always in the future there.
Right.
But yeah, there were days where I felt like, well, what's the point? Because they just all hate me. And I'm a female pushing my way into a place where I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling sorry for myself kind of thing.
That little violin starts playing.
Yeah. And then I would just remember, you have a goal, and you're going to get to your goal, and you love what you do. So, I'm not giving up. You can't kick me out.
Yeah. That's so incredible. So in our final minute here, I think what would be really interesting for the audience, as you are now 40 plus years, you are at the brink of the end, you get to kick back, kick your feet up. What is the thing you are most proud of that, you get to tell your kids and your whoever else in your generational family
God.
that you get to say, I did X? What's your proudest moment or proudest feeling about your career?
Oh my God. I gained the respect of not just my peers, but my superiors. That little piece of respect, that's the same thing people crave from their parents.
Yes.
It's where they look at you with admiration. I never thought I'd have that from a supervisor, or from especially a male supervisor, or for somebody who's in a station like a dean or a chancellor, to look and say, wow, you really did good. And that is just an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Oh, that gives me the chills. I could keep talking about just this part of your life story for another 15 minutes plus, but we keep this so short, and that is very disappointing on our part. But Sharon, I cannot thank you enough for telling us your story and sharing your why and being an inspiration to women out there, women like me who are still out there slugging away, and women out there who are just starting giving us all hope and motivation and reminders that it's all worth it in the end, and to keep sort of channeling your inner motivation. I really find your story so inspiring, and thank you for doing the hard work for all of us, because it was hard work, and I don't know that all of us could have done it. So you've paved the way.
Thank you, Maddie. This has been a joy.
Yes, this is awesome. So I posted Sharon's LinkedIn up below her name. So please, LinkedIn, connect with her. She is incredible. I'm going to put this out there. Hopefully she doesn't kill me. But if you want to talk more about her story, or learn, or just get some words of encouragement, I highly recommend you reach out. It is, it's always, I've talked to her now a few times, and it's always a good conversation. So Sharon, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine.
All right. And we will see y'all next week, or 2 weeks. Bye. Sorry, 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye-bye.